welcome back with me. I am Rossi Adawiyah from A class, and usually my friends call me OT. So in this session, I will be discussing one of the interesting topic in phonology, which is phonological rules. So guys, do you know about the phonological rules? If you don't know, let's discuss with me. So, phonological rules are rules that explain how sound in language are changed or modified in a particular context. So, however, in this video, I will focus on one specific type phonological rule, which is about deletion. So, let's explore together what deletion is and how this process happened in real life conversation, especially in one of the podcast video that I took from TikTok. So guys, phonological rules include various processes such as assimilation, insertion, deletion, and others. Specifically, deletion is the process of removing a particular sound in a word or in a sentence. Deletion often occurs in everyday conversation, especially when speaking quickly or in formal situations. And then deletion is divided into three main types. The first is syncope. Syncope is the omission of a vowel sound in the middle of a word. For example, family becomes family. Once again, family becomes family. So the word sound E in the middle of the word is removed. I will be a repeat again. Family becomes family. And then the second one is apocopy. Apocopy is omission of the sound at the end of vowels. For example, even becomes eve. Once again, even becomes eve. So the schwa vowel sound n at the end of the word is omitted. Once again, even becomes eve. So the last one is about cluster simplification. Cluster simplification is the removal of one of the consonant sounds in a consonant cluster. For the example, friends becomes friend. Friends become friends. Why? Because the consonant of the sound is omitted to simplify pronunciation. I will repeat again. Friends become friends. So the sound is omitted. And then the example from cluster simplification is most becomes most. Most becomes most. Once again, most become most. Why? Because the th sound in the cluster is removed. Most become most. And additionally, there is a phenomenon frequently occurring in connected speech, namely elision. Deletion, where sounds are removed to simplify pronunciation. For the example, I am becomes I am. I am becomes I am. So the vowel of a is removed in connected speech. And then the second example is you are becomes your. You are becomes your. Because the vowel of a is removed. Once again, you are becomes your. So let's see podcast video first, and then we will discuss and analyze about deletion. And happy watching!
We want a man who acts like a man, who's manly, who takes care of things. Leader, I don't need you to kill an alligator with your hands, but I need to feel so feminine around you because you are so masculine that I can turn my brain off because I know you've got it.
Yeah.
I trust you. I trust your intellect. I trust your character. I trust that I can close my eyes and follow you blindly, and I'm going to be happy about where I end up. That's what it's about. We go out. I don't have to use my brain. I don't have to think. You know what I mean? Order the whole thing for us. Take me, plan the thing. Say you tell me where we're going, and we're all set. That's honestly, it's so lost on us. And like, yes, toxic masculinity, that's not good, but we need masculinity. It's really important, and that's what we try to push. And we live in a time of, unfortunate new age feminism and this whole idea that women and men need to be the same and they need to compete, and it's all from the enemy. It's all lies. None of it is good for us.
So you don't want to be equal?
We're equal in God's eye. We're equal in value. We're different in role and in the way that we operate.
Okay guys, after watching the podcast video, let's analyze the words that are included in deletion. So, the first one is syncope. Remember, syncope is the removal of vowel sound in the middle of words and usually occurring in unstressed vowels. So, this happens to make pronunciation faster and more efficient. Okay, for the example in the 13-second video, namely, because becomes cause. Once again, because becomes cause. Why? Because the vowel of E is omitted. So, because becomes shorter and is easily pronounced as cause. And this is common in everyday speech. I will repeat again. Because becomes cause. Why? Because the vowel of E is omitted. So the next example is in the 14-second video. For example, masculine becomes masculine. Once again, masculine becomes masculine. Why? The reason because the vowel of U is omitted. So it sounds faster when pronounced, like masculine. First, masculine becomes masculine because the vowel of U is omitted. Again, the next we will analyze from podcast video is about apocope. But before that, I will remember to you the definition of apocope. So, apocope is the omission of a sound at the end of a word, and it usually occurs because the final sound isn't considered very important in daily conversation. So, the first example is don't becomes tone. Once again, don't becomes tone. Why? Because the reason is the final consonant, namely t sound, is often omitted in casual pronunciation, especially when speaking quickly. And then the second example is and becomes and. Once again, and becomes and. Why? Because the d sound at the end of and is omitted. And this is very common in daily conversation to speed up speech. I will repeat again. The first example. Don't becomes tone. The t vowel, the t consonant is omitted. And then the next example is going to becomes gonna. Once again, going to becomes gonna. The original word is going to, and then after omission become gonna. Why? because the explanation is going to is often shortened to gonna by omitting the and to sounds. And this is a very common form of rapid pronunciation in spoken English. Okay, the last analysis is about clauser simplification. But before that, I will remember to you all, clauser simplification is the simplification of consonant clausers, two or more consecutive consonants by removing one of their sounds. For example, X becomes X. X becomes X. The original word is X. X. And then after omissions is X. Why? Because in rapid pronunciation, the T sound in the middle of consonant cluster K and T is omitted. So making it easier to pronounce as X. X. And then the last example from cluster simplification is takes becomes takes. Takes becomes takes. The original word is takes, and then after deletion is takes, takes, takes. And then the explanation is in casual pronunciation, the X cluster is often simplified, so that making the sound shorter. I will repeat again. Takes becomes takes. Takes become takes. Okay, after analyzing a few words in the podcast video, so now I will show to you all the benefits and reason for deletion. So, why does deletion happen? And here are some of the main reasons. So the first is about pronunciation efficiency. Deletion can save energy when speaking, especially in fast-paced conversation. And the second one is natural flow of speech. Deletion can help create a more natural and easily understood speech rhythm. And the last is about social adaptation. In informal context, deletion reflects a relaxed language style that is easier to accept. So that's all about the reason and the benefit for deletion. So guys, from this analysis and some explanation, we can see that deletion is a very common phenomenon in English, especially in connected speech. And this process not only makes pronunciation easier, but also reflects one's social dynamics and speaking styles. And then deletion in phonology also shows how language evolves in everyday communication or in daily conversation. And then it shows that spoken language isn't just about following rules to the letter, but also about adapting to the context and then audience and purpose of communication. Whether it is simplifying consonant cluster or removing unstressed vowel sound. And then these changes also help improve speaking fluency and make conversation sound more natural. And then by understanding these patterns, we can better appreciate the beauty and complexity of language as a living system. And then this understanding also helps us as learners and then as teachers, also as linguists, to be better able to analyze and adapt to the way people naturally speak in various situations. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to leave a comment if you have any question or ideas from other phonological analysis. And see you in the next video and hope it helps.